Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing, 1 2 3. And we're in the building. Give it a minute so everybody could come in, if anybody's coming in, before I start the class. But anyway, let me go ahead on and begin. I'll come back over and check in a minute. Okay, shalom to Israel. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Barakathum to all my brothers. Yahweh Shema Alathan Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. What I simply said was, may the Lord bless you in the name of Christ. To the brothers and to the sisters, we said, Yahweh Shema Alathan Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. May the Lord watch over you in the name of Christ, right? That's our common greeting for the brothers and the sisters, in case you might not have known, right? We are the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, the ISUPK, has been teaching the truth of the Bible, and that truth includes the fact that so-called blacks, so-called Latinos or Hispanics, so-called First Nation people or Native Indians are in fact the true Jews, the true Israelites, God's chosen people, the future rulers of the planet Earth, according to the Bible, okay? The ISUPK has been and always will be the home of the truth, the origin of the truth. You understand? The doctrine of the truth, the continuation of the truth translated from the Bible directly. You understand? And meaning that if you're not in the ISUPK under Commandant General Yohana, you're really not in the truth. You understand? You're in a different body. You have a different head. You understand? The ISUPK under Commandant General Yohana, we're not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group, sect, religion. And if you've been watching over the past couple of years, you understand that very well, why we are not affiliated. Enough said on that. Okay, so we got some people coming in. Let's see who we got here. Okay. We got Officer Quiet Bar. I'm a Salakia, Trooper Quiet Bar. I jumped the gun, Salakia. And then we got Sister, 1 West Princess Sapayar. Shalom, sis. Y'all was Shema done by Shema Shine. Okay, so we're going to get into it. You know, I do my little politics before we get into the class. I'm going to try to move quickly because, you know, I try to get something in there good for y'all today, you know, which is always my goal, is to translate and transmit good information. So on a political tip, you know, it's 2 things I just want to get into very briefly. And one, you know, they subpoenaed Clinton, and he testified before the House, some kind of House subcommittee, ethics committee or something, whatever the hell it was. But it was very interesting because, you know, I learned a lot about Clinton because, of course, he's in the Epstein files hundreds of times. And he testified today that he didn't know nothing about what's going on. He didn't know nothing. Remember, this is the same cat that said, even though his semen was found on her blue dress, that she skillfully preserved, he said he didn't have sex with Monica Lewinsky. Remember that? It's the same guy. I was there, but I didn't know anything that was going on. So briefly, let me tell you what came out in the testimony today. Some of the things that came out, they didn't release the full transcript yet, so there's more to come. But it's just interesting, you know, because the Epstein files don't discriminate. It's not Republicans, it's not Democrats, it's just rich people, mostly rich white people. But some brothers and sisters did participate, right? So one of the things that I learned today, that Epstein visited the White House under Clinton now, 17 times. He was at the White House 17 times. Clinton, Bill, Bubba, the saxophone player that black people love so much that they made him President POTUS. He used Epstein's plane several times. This is just the small things that came out so far. Many photos with young girls naked on his lap. But he ain't know what was going on. This man was at the White House 17 times during the Bill Clinton administration. Now, let's put it in context. The investigation that the FBI started in 2005, and it lasted 15 years. Almost 15 years they investigated Epstein. That's why they got over like 15, 20 million documents. They've only released like 3 million. Captain Nythok brought out that they only released like 2 to 5% of the total amount of documents that they had. So is the whole point of this matter is that, you know, of course they're lying. And what I've noticed, because I try to watch 3 or 4 different newscasts or different stations to understand, to see what's going on. And what's really happening is they're soft pedaling it. They're whitewashing it systematically. They downplaying it because they're able to so far. Even one of the participants that was on the committee that was asking the questions, you can tell that he was downplaying it. You know, well, there's really nothing that we could prosecute or say anything was done wrong. We don't have any evidence of that. You know, they're downplaying it. Really? Okay, so across the board, they're trying to downplay the whole. Let me see if the brother came in yet. They're downplaying the whole situation. Across the board, the media is downplaying it. They're all in cahoots because some of the stations favor Democrats, allegedly, and some of the stations favor Republicans, allegedly. But what we understand in Isupk that they're 2 wings of the same bird. And this is evident proof of this. This Epstein file, boy, they soft walking it, boy. They being careful. You know what I'm saying? They asked Clinton, did he have any conversations with Trump? Oh, he slid out of that with the slickness. You understand? And so it's just good to watch it because you understand the man of sin, the son of perdition, has been revealed, as we keep saying over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of fun to watch because we know they're lying. We know that. There's no question about it. Only like gullible or people who want to be, who desire to be ignorant, believe that bullshit. Salaki. Okay. That's my little political report. It's funny as hell, yo. Like, they squirming because the filth connected to it. Hillary was up there too. She testified yesterday. She said, I barely knew Epstein. He was just a minor acquaintance. I think that was the word that she used. And she hardly knew him. And I have never been to the island, she says. But her name comes up in the Epstein files many times, not once. It's not like, oh, they just happened to mention Hillary Clinton. You understand? And Bubba, he's mentioned hundreds of times, and Trump is mentioned thousands of times. But yet, you know, these men who are leading the free world, the so-called free world, had no idea. Oh, no, I had no idea that this was going on, even though they got pictures of Clinton in the pool with, what's her name? Ghislaine, whatever her name, Maxwell. And also with Epstein, of course, and also with young ladies, very young ladies, sitting on his lap. I didn't know he went to the White House 17 times until today. Not during the Trump administration, during the Clinton administration. I was back in the 90s. It's amazing. This has been going on a long time. Okay? So enough on that. You know, all of these things that I'm talking about right now, you go see on the news. Just turn on the news, CNN, CNBC, ABC, Fox, all of these things. They was talking about that thing and another thing, and they also brought out about this blind man that mysteriously disappeared after he was taken into custody by ICE. He was an immigrant. But another thing I want to talk about quickly before we go into the class is there's a company, you might have heard of it. It's called Anthropics. Anthropics is a leading AI technology producer. You understand? Research and tech company, right? And the owner of that company is one of the richest men in the world. I didn't have time to write his name down because I was doing some of this before I was getting prepared for class, right? So it's a safety and research tech company. But the Pentagon, the military branch of the government, wants, like, as they're creating AI, Anthropics is creating with billions of dollars and maybe trillions of dollars in investments, are creating AI technology. They want to put in place safeguards. So now there's a case now where the Pentagon is actually trying to usurp or go around the safeguards. And why would they do that? This is why they want to do it. It's two basic reasons that I saw today. It might be more, but they want to use AI technology for mass surveillance. I'm trying to remember the name of that company that Commander General Hanna brought out that had the CIA as its first client. And they're about surveillance. I can't think of the name. It starts with a P. Well, what they want to do is they want to set up the ability to watch everybody all the time. That's one of the possibilities that they're trying to develop in a military arm in the Pentagon. So they can watch you wherever you are. You understand what I'm saying? Like I was talking about the mark of the beast. All the mark of the beast is that they have knowledge of everything you do. And the spiritual aspect of the mark of the beast is Christianity. That's all it is. It's not a chip. They don't need a chip. When they can have one little chip watching everybody in AI. You understand? Why they got to put a chip in everybody? That's stupid. So anyway, and they want to advance military technology with it. Those are the two purposes that the Pentagon is. They're in court right now. There's a court case where Anthropics and the AI community that's developing the technology is trying to put safeguards in because they know the dangers, some of the dangers in the misuses, the possible misusage of AI. They know. So the Pentagon, you understand, which in this term, in this situation, because most of the technology of the past, the military branch of the government had control over the technology. So here's the Pentagon again coming in, trying to get control over what they do with AI for military purposes and for surveillance purposes. That's all I know, but that's all that's what I heard in the report. But we can imagine being in the Isupk and knowing what's going on in the earth, we can imagine the applications that surround these type of activities that the oppressors, you understand, are doing. You know, the oppressors are doing things, man, that the average Joe, the average citizen wouldn't even believe. Not good old America, not us. We're the home of the free, the land of the brave. Understand? We're a good Christian nation. We're a good Christian nation. I'm an American. Yeah. Okay. So now, I just put that out there because as priests and prophets of the Lord, like our job is to keep our people aware of what's going on all levels. You know what I'm saying? And I see things on my level, right? Understand? Just like everybody, Commander General Hanna's on a whole nother level. General Mahyman, Captain Nata, Captain Zara, they're on another level. I'm on my level, but I know how to see and I know how to discern what's going on in this earth because I've been taught by the men of the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? And with that comes a responsibility. And the responsibility is to get our people, wake our people the hell up, man. Wake the hell up out of this nonsense. Loving our enemies, trying to love our enemies. Understand? We love our enemies and fight to love our enemies. It's insane. This is how you know we still slaves. We love our enemies. We try to find ways to love our enemies and ways to hate one another. You understand? That's slavery, man. You go to war and fight your enemies. You understand? And then come back and fight your brother. Okay, so now we're going to get into a little Lashawan Qaash. Okay. Lashawan, almost officer of 1,000 yarders are, you know, in case I didn't say that before, here in beautiful Durham, North Carolina, right? So we got Lashawan Qaash, which means holy speaking, right? Because in Hebrew, you see it over here in the ancient Hebrew, the la, the sha, the wa, and the na. La, sha, Salakia. La, sha, one, which is the function of the tongue. The root word is lashun, which literally means the tongue. And when you put the wa there, it's the working of the tongue, which is speaking or language. So it's the speaking or the language holy or the holy language or the holy tongue. Lashawan Qaash. I love that word. I love the way it sounds. Lashawan Qaash. And it sounds beautiful to me, right? So that is the language that nobody can deny that the Bible was revealed in. You understand? The Bible was revealed in the Lashawan Qaash, or what we call today the ancient Hebrew or the Proto-Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew, Salakia, Paleo-Hebrew. Paleo-Hebrew simply means the Hebrew before the devils got their hands on it. That's what it means to me. Before they, and I'm going to prove it tonight with some of the things that I'm going to bring out in the time that I have, right? Paleo-Hebrew, I'm going to put it over here. It literally means the ancient Hebrew, right? And what it means to us, or how we should look at it, is this is the Hebrew, right? Before the enemies got a hold of it. You understand? That's why we have here, we have the word Passover in the ancient, right here, Pesach, and in the Assyrian. It sounds the same, it's pronounced the same, the letters are pronounced the same, but it's just different forms of the letters, which was changed during the Assyrian captivity. We went from this to this. You understand? So today we're going to get into a little history of it, right? But before we do that, I'm going to break down these words. So you see on the board here, you see the word counterfeit. Counterfeit. You know, I was reading the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and in one of the verses, the devils admit to being counterfeit. They admit to being counterfeit, right? So we're going to prove with the language itself how they used language to promote the counterfeit aspect of their kingdom. You understand? Particularly Christianity, it's counterfeit. So with that being said, the word counterfeit, let me see if the brother came in. Yeah, I could bring him in. Okay. Hey, Shalom, Krupa Magawar.
Shalom, Isupk Durham.
Shalom, Yahweh Shema Shabbat. Once again, I want to say congratulations to you, brother. You understand?
The water of the one, most high in Christ.
Okay, so yeah, and welcome, man. Okay, everybody, if you got any questions, you can ask. I'll do my best. Okay. So now, counterfeit. Everybody knows what counterfeit is, right? Everybody knows, but I'm still going to read the definition of what counterfeit is for a particular reason, because there was something in there that I really liked. This is counterfeit, made in exact imitation of something valuable, right? An imitation of something valuable, a sham to deceive or to defraud, counterfeit reality. That definition came from the Oxford. You can look it up. So we understand that counterfeit is meant to defraud, and it changes the reality. You understand? That's heavy. Counterfeit changes the reality. It says counterfeit reality. And the words there that are important are to deceive or defraud. That's the purpose of counterfeit, right? So what I say and what we say in Isupk under Commander General Yohana, of course, is that Christianity is totally counterfeit. And I'm gonna prove it in another way. You understand? I'm gonna share it in another way according to these words here, right? So now, what else I got? Okay, that'll be the next. We have two words on the board, which both mean the same thing, right? The first word in the concordance or in blue letter is H6453, Hebrew word H6453, and that word is pasak. Pasak, right? Just remember the word counterfeit. Pasak. This is it in the ancient, and this is it in the Assyrian or the modern Hebrew, which we're going to see something very important today. This is basically, we're going to go through a little history of the development of Hebrew to modern, the way it's spoken by the fake Jews, the small hats, right? So this word pasak is the Hebrew word for Passover. Wherever you go in the Old Testament and you find this word, it means Passover, right? Passover, pasak, Passover, right? So now, in the New Testament, you'll find the word Easter one time. Easter. And you'll find that in the book of Acts 12 and 14, right? So, of course, the New Testament is translated from the Greek because they didn't have a full Hebrew translation of it during the time that King James translated it from 1607 through 1611 when it went on the market. Thus, it's called the 1611 King James. So the word Passover is pasak, right? Now, in the Greek, they have the word Pascha. Very similar. You just change a few letters around, it's the same word. Pascha is the word, when you look up the word Easter in the in Acts 12 and 4, when you look it up, in the concordance, it's G, meaning Greek word 3957. 3957. And it's pronounced Pascha. Now remember, Pasak is Hebrew. Pascha is Greek. So that's a little significance there, because what it's showing you is that why didn't they just say Pascha instead of Easter? Because it's counterfeit. It's meant to defraud you. Because Pascha is just a bastardization of the Hebrew word Pasak. But of course, because this is from our language, it's from us. And they changed it. If you looked up that number, G3957, you'll see the word Pascha. When you look up the word Easter, it's going to tell you The number is G3957. That's in Acts 12 and 4. You'll see the word Pascha, and you'll see when you read it, it'll say Easter, Passover. It simply meant Passover. So when the Christians got a hold of it, we're not going to put Pascha up there because it looks too much like Pesach. It looks very similar. So what we're going to do is we're going to defraud the people, and we're going to call it Easter and make it our holiday. Simple as that. That's what they did because they're counterfeit. They're counterfeit. There's no such day. There's no such holiday as Easter. They made it up and they applied it to when the word Pascha is mentioned in Acts 12 and 14, and they changed it to Easter to coincide with their holiday. And I'm going to prove it because they tell you this in the way they write and how they change things in their writings. Christianity, counterfeit Christianity. So let's get a little bit more. Hold on just a second. Okay, we got Sister Tia checking in. Tia Lynn checking in. Shalom, sis. Okay. Right. Counterfeit Christianity. So we already seen with the word Pesach or Pascha, how they changed it to Easter to fit the narrative of Christianity. And that's going to cause me to read something out of a book that I always use if I still got it in here. No, I think I took it out. Nope, there it is. I'm going to read a little excerpt out of this book, if time permitting. It's pertaining to what we're talking about here, too. Because all of their holidays are simply counterfeit economic days. That's all they are. They're days where they figured out, and I'm going to show you in this book right here. This book is called, I use it all the time because I think it's very interesting. It's called The History of the First Council of Nicaea with a Life of Constantine by Dean Dudley. A World Christian Convention, 325 AD. There's something important in there that they say, right? Okay, so now, Christmas. We're going to do Christmas first. We already showed you that Easter is counterfeit. So now Christmas started. Christmas is in the Bible, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10. Not as Christmas, but what it shows you is that the worship with the tree and the decoration goes all the way back to Nimrod, and it was passed down to different empires. You understand? Each empire, as you may know, every empire, major empire from Babylon, Assyria, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, you understand? All of them had a different version of this day, which is the 25th of December. You understand? Hold on just a second. And because the Romans had got their knowledge from the Greeks, and the Greeks had got their knowledge from the Egyptians, they worshiped the stars. And so we have Saturnalia, which, let me see. I thought I wrote it down, but let me see. Saturnalia. No, but I'm going to look it up real quick. Salakia. I thought I had wrote it down. Well, listen, Saturnalia comes from the Romans. The word is a Roman word. It's based on the worship of the planet Saturn. Saturnalia, which was a festival in December. You understand? It was a festival. You can look it up. I thought I wrote it down. It was a festival in December in the Roman Empire. And once they gained access to the scriptures, they applied that same spirit, because it was a spirit of, what was the word that they used? Revelry, which is partying and indulgence. Those are the words I remember as part of the definition of Saturnalia. It's a Roman holiday that they just put Christ's name on it. That's all it was. We teach this every year around Christmas time. You understand what I'm saying? But I just wanted to put that in there as part of the whole, how Christianity is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. Christmas is Saturnalia. Hold on.
So like the other one, I do have the definition here if you want.
If you could, brother, please read it.
Come. Saturnalia, a festival, is an ancient Roman festival and holiday in honor of the god Saturn, held on the 17th of in the Julian calendar, and later expanded with festivities until December 19th. By the 1st century BC, the celebration had been extended until the 23rd of December for a total of 7 days of festivities.
You understand? So now, that's in the 1st century, right? Correct, brother? That's in the first, right? That was up to the 1st century, right? So now we get to the 3rd century, 200 years later. And I'm the water for that, brother. You understand? The water for that. So now I'm going to read a little excerpt 200 years later. You understand? To show the counterfeit portion of. Okay, here we go. We go here. I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to read you something here, because it's very important to understand the economics of anything. If you want to understand something or somebody, look at their economics. Okay. I'm going to read a little, half of a paragraph. It says, this is from the book right here. This is the book, right? It was a custom to punish heretics and burn their books in the very first days of Christian rule. So once the Roman Catholics came to power, you understand, around 321 AD, then 4 years later, they had what was called the Council of Nicaea. And anything that they didn't agree with, they would burn the books, right? That also speaks to the miracle that the Bible is, that how it survived. 7 major captivities, 18 total captivities or more, and it's still intact. That is absolutely a miracle. So now, it was a custom to punish heretics or burn their books in the very first day of Christian rule. Christianity, as an institution of the government, it was little better than the old religion. That's what it says. Meaning the first form of Christianity that they had wasn't no better than the pagan religion that they was practicing under Catholicism before. Because if you didn't know, Catholicism, the name Catholicism was a religion before they added the scriptures to it. Understand? So now, it was little better than the old religion. It soon became transformed so that Christ, Yahushua, would have been ashamed of its name. Meaning Christianity was so corrupt, Christ would have been ashamed that they applied his name to it. That's what it says, right? But this is the kicker. This is the kicker right here, because this is counterfeit. You understand? Like, they made up Christianity. The devils, the wickedest people that ever existed, they created Christianity at a council or a series of councils where they would update it as people get more hip to it. So now this is it. As soon as there were fortunes to be made in the church, it became the fruitful field of worldly ambition. I rest my case. They monetarized everything with this religion. Because we remember the conquistadors, whether it was the British, whether it was the French, Portuguese, Germans, Spanish. Christianity, they was go in there with some soldiers and a monk and set up Christianity and force you to bow down to it. But what I'm showing you here is that Christianity in itself is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. It's an image. You understand? They faked an image to deceive you. That's why I gave the definition of the word counterfeit, because they intend to deceive you with it. It's deception. And it's an agency of the government. And that has never changed. Why do you think they call it the Roman Catholic Church? In Rome, in the Roman Catholics, it is or was the government. The Pope was the king. Now they got to hide it with democracy. You understand? So the Pope is like behind the scenes pulling the strings. You understand? Christmas is Saturnalia. Easter is Pesach or the Passover. It's counterfeit, man. You know how you go down the street and you get a fake Louis Vuitton bag? That's counterfeit, right? And it's made to deceive you and get money from you. That's the same thing Christianity is. Understand? Christianity is simply counterfeit. All of their holidays, every holiday that they teach us to worship is a pagan holiday that they tried to hide by counterfeit means and accepted it and made it part of Christianity. That's all it is. They incorporated the pagan gods to deceive the world, and that's what they've done. That's what they've done. You understand? Yeah, I did. It says a period of general merrymaking and the predecessor of Christianity, or the predecessor of Christmas. Occasion of wild revelry or indulgence relating to Saturn. That's what we just brought out. So now they use the words or the language. See, the language is important. That's why I'm going to read you. Always remember this scripture right here. This is very important if when you come to understand it, because I know you will. Go to Zephaniah 3 and 9, and I'm going to read it. Or Trooper Makwawa. Let me say the brother's name right. Slocky, sir. Slocky, young man. Magawar. Trooper Magawar. If you could read Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. Baba Qaash. You understand? It's very important to understand this scripture, particularly with what we're talking about here, but in general. You got it?
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3 and verse 9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that so they may all call.
Hold on. So, okay, bro. I'm just going to break it down. We're going to get the whole thing in. So the word, okay, when you read the Hebrew, it says, I will turn to the people a pure language. But in Hebrew, we understand it to mean to return to us, because turn means to go in another direction. If we lost the language, returning it means we get it back. You understand? So now he's going to turn to us the pure language, right? Read on, brother.
That they may all call upon the name of the Lord.
That they may all call upon the name of the Lord. So let's break it down. Pure is the Lashawan Qaash. And when we get into the next phase of this class, we're going to show you how they changed it. Pure was the Lashawan Qaash. What do I mean by pure? It's the language of the angels, you understand? As Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13 and 1. meaning it's been spoken by the angels. And the reason why it's the language is because the angels only spoke to Israelites. All the revelations was to the Hebrews. So they had to know the Hebrew language in order for them to understand it. You understand? So it's the language of, it's pure. And what does that mean also? Is that every word in the Hebrew language, in the ancient Hebrew, originated in that language. We didn't borrow words from other languages. It's the pure language, man. The Most High gave us the pure from the beginning. That's what we got to understand and accept. He didn't give us no wickedness. He didn't give us nothing filthy. He didn't give us nothing polluted. He gave us pure. And now he says, so that they may all call upon the name of the Most High. In order for you to properly call upon the name of the Most High, which is Yahweh, you have to speak Hebrew. Yahweh is a Hebrew word, revealed in Hebrew. That's what it means. Understand? All this other stuff is counterfeit. It's all counterfeit. So we're going to get a little bit more proof. Let me see how much time we got left. Oh, we got plenty of time. All of this, right, is proof that Christianity is actually counterfeit. All they did was take our records, and this has been taught from Commanding General Yohana for many years, and he taught all of us. All they did was take our records and make religions out of them. That's all they did. And this is quite evident. I'm going to give you more proof of it as well. And always remember that Christianity is an agency of the government. It's part of the government. You understand? Let's see what we got here. Salakia. Okay. All right. Thank you. So now, Christianity is counterfeit. They used everything in the scriptures, right, to deceive us by putting a mask on it, right? So now, if you're not familiar with two things, we're going to get you familiarized with it today, right? And one thing is the Masoretic text. Let me get that. The Masoretic text. And we're going to get some information about it, which I have it right here. And it's something that they say in one of these paragraphs that goes right along with the whole counterfeit theme that we have here tonight. You understand? And I'm going to read what the Masoretic text is that we're going to speak on. The Masoretic text is the authoritative Hebrew and Aramaic text of the 24 books of the Hebrew Bible and rabbinical Judaism. I should tell you something. The alarm should go on right there. Now, the 24 books is actually the 39 books of the Old Testament. Some of the books were combined. So it was numbered at 24, but it's actually in the Hebrew Bible today, it's the same 39 books of the Old Testament. You understand? And if you look up the Masoretic text, you'll see the breakdown. Well, we don't have time to go into it, maybe a little bit. But it says, the Masoretic text defines the Jewish canon, and it is the precise letter text and its vocalization and accentuation known as the Masorah. So you ever hear Captain Zariak talk about a word-for-word translation? That's what it means. It means every letter and every word was directly translated from the Hebrew. That's the Masoretic text. In the Greek, because they didn't have a Hebrew translation because of the over 200 years of oppression under the Romans and the Greeks, maybe 300, they only had Greek translations. That's why the New Testament is translated out of Greek into English, and thus some of the pronunciations, like the word Jesus. In English, that word Jesus is Joshua, and in Greek it's Jesus, but it's the exact same word in Hebrew. You understand? So now, what is the point that I'm trying to make here, right? That at a certain point, and I'm going to show you what I mean. At a certain point, they began to change things. So let's see what it was. Where was it at? Mm-hmm. It's a paragraph here. Hebrew textual. Where did it go? Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit more about it real quick. The Masoretic texts differ from previous forms of Hebrew Bible. Previously, only the consonant, this is important, only the consonantal text was written down in scrolls, meaning the ancient Hebrew, which only had consonants. Remember the word counterfeit. They knew that it only had consonants. That's why they call it consonantal. The original Hebrew, which is the Lashawan Qaash, this form only has consonants. It does not have vowels. It doesn't have vowels at all. It's only consonant. So they're saying here, the text was written down in scrolls, while the ancient tradition of those consonants should be read out loud was preserved orally. Meaning, when it was spoken in the ancient, it only had consonants. Let me read it again. While the ancient tradition of those consonants should be read out loud was preserved orally. Meaning the proper pronunciation of the words and the language was passed on orally from family to family. You understand? That's how the language was passed on from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob and the tribes. Just that simple. So here we're going to get into the counterfeit part of it. It's another paragraph. I think I lost it, but I hope I find it because it's important. It talks about, this might be it. Here we go. Yeah, I found it. Okay. And this paragraph, it shows you how, and it's a key word in here, how they changed the pronunciation for a reason, because they're counterfeit. Right? So I'm going to read it. The Masoretic text, the authoritative, standardized Hebrew and Aramaic text of the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh, codified by Jewish scholars known as Masoretes between the 7th and the 10th centuries CE, which is really Christian era after Christ. This is the kicker right here. So remember, they knew that it was consonantal, meaning that it only had consonants, right? So here it says, in the 10th century, it added vowels. Now, why is that important? Because this is the so-called small hats converted in the 8th century. So now they get hold of the language. They don't know the proper pronunciation because it wasn't passed down orally to them. Their fathers didn't speak it. So how the hell could they speak it? That's the point. So now, what they did was they changed the language for their pronunciation. It says It added vowels, punctuation, and marginal notes to the traditional consonantal Hebrew text to ensure, now check this out, this is the counterfeit part, to ensure precise pronunciation. Precise pronunciation. Now, wait a minute. If the ancient, the Lashawan ADASH, had only consonants, meaning you can make a syllable with one letter, basically that's what a consonant is, right? You don't need a vowel to make a syllable in a language of consonants, right? So here, they changed the pronunciation. Well, wait a minute, it's a consonantal language, so why you can't pronounce it? In actuality, brothers and sisters, consonantal languages that only have consonants is easier to pronounce than languages with vowels. Absolutely. Without a doubt. I'm going to read it again. It added vowels, punctuations, and marginal notes to the traditionally, meaning before, consonantal Hebrew text to ensure pronunciation and interpretation, meaning it also changes the interpretation. So the word virgin, which in Hebrew meant a young woman of marriageable age, now becomes anybody that never had sex. Because they translated according to their mind. That's the point. They translated according to way, like the va. There's no, you hear them say va. But the letter, they take the ba. This is the ancient, the ba. This is the Assyrian ba. And they make it a va. Because that's how they talk. Oy vey. The word tawab. You know what they say for tawab? The word tawab means good. They say tavid. Tavid. Now, let's just have a little joke here for a second. Can you imagine a nigga walking around talking about tavid? Can you imagine? Hell no. That's just me. But they call it the word tawab, which means good. They say tavid or tov. Tov. It's crazy. You understand? I'm showing you the counterfeit. That's why the Most High says in Zephaniah 3:9 that he's going to return to us the pure language, man. So that we could call him, we don't say Yahweh, which is their interpretation, because they added the vowels to Yahweh. Yahweh, Yahweh. That's ancient Hebrew. They got the tetragram. I don't know how to say the word. They call him Yahweh because they added vowels. You understand? Yahweh. But it's really Yahweh. Yahweh is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. Everything they got, everything they do is counterfeit. The language was passed on in the pronunciation of the language, although it was written in with different letters at times. The pronunciation never changed because it was passed down orally from father to son, from mother to daughter, just like any other language. But for 300 years, the original Hebrew was almost lost from the earth. And it was the scholars of the Isupk who brought back the Lashawan Qaash, the ancient, man. They thought they was going to get over. They thought that they was going to fool the whole world and that the Most High wasn't going to send anyone. Oy vey. I don't know what the hell that means. But we don't have no va in Hebrew. The va comes from what they said. They put in vowels and punctuation to change the pronunciation, Salakia. So this is another aspect and another piece of proof. You understand that what they did with the scriptures is counterfeit. It took them hundreds of years to, I think they didn't get the language correct until the late 1800s, when they started publishing books in the Assyrian Hebrew in modern times, right? So the whole thing, Christianity, Judaism, same shit, is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. Remember, they said about Christianity that Christ would be ashamed that his name was put upon it because it's so evil and wicked and against God. That's important. This is written by Edomites. And I got another book on it too. It's called, what's the name of the book? Boom, 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 boom. I don't have it with me. It's called something with zeal in it. I'll bring it the next time, Lord allow, and I'll show you. It's a lot of good information in that book. And what these books is talking about is the formulation of Christianity and Judaism. You understand? White man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. There's no question about it. Everywhere you turn, when you trace the wickedness in the earth, and you know, in all investigations, you follow the money, right? It's going to lead right back to him. He's the devil that the Bible speaks of, you know? There's no question about it. I think we got time to go into this last topic. I'm going to try to get it in real quick. Yeah, we can do it. Okay. You see up here the word apocrypha? The word apocrypha is a Greek word that means hidden things or hidden books, right? So now it was something interesting in the definition of apocrypha, and it was something that I saw that I could use in terms of what we're dealing with tonight, right? Just give me a second. Rupa Magawar, if you could, right? Let me see if we get on the same page with this, and I want you to read this.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Apocrypha books on Google. Apocrypha books on Google. All right, let me know when you get there.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there'll be subtle little things in there that in ISUPK we're trained to see that a Christian might not take note of, or a Muslim either. Okay? So, Baba
Salakia,
Yes,
the one you wanted me to look up apocryphal books on Google?
Yeah, on Google, because that's what I'm reading from. I want us to be on the same page. Just put in apocryphal books.
Say
AI overview.
I'm there.
You there?
Come.
Okay. So now, Baba Kashar, read that first paragraph.
The Apocrypha consists of a collection of ancient Jewish, intertestamental, and early Christian writings, not included in the Hebrew Bible or standard Protestant canon, but often included in Catholic and Orthodox Bibles.
Now, let's stop right there, my brother. Did you notice anything strange in there? There's one word, no, two words that's put together that is a total lie. And I'm going to show you what it means. Anybody. I'm going to read it again, bro.
Kamaka. The Apocrypha consists of a collection of ancient Jewish, intertestamental, and early Christian writings not included in the Hebrew Bible or standard Protestant canon, but often included in Catholic and Orthodox Bibles.
Understand? So now we're going to get to it for time's sake, right? It says the Apocrypha consists of a, oh, let me get over here so y'all can see me. The Apocrypha consists of a collection of ancient Jewish intertestamental books. And this is the lie, early Christian writings, not included in the Hebrew Bible or standard Protestant canon. Okay, you got it? Well, let me break it down. When 1611 King James Bible was translated, it was translated with the Apocrypha. For them to lie and says, and early Christian writings, that's not included, it's the Apocrypha or the writing of the Apocrypha predates Christianity. Christianity has nothing to do with the Bible and definitely not the Apocrypha. When the Apocrypha was written during the Greek oppression, there was no such thing as Christianity. Christianity was created in 325 AD. When Jesus, Sirach and Jesus, a grandfather, a son, and a grandson, translated the Apocrypha from Hebrew into Greek. There was no such thing as Christianity. It was the Roman Empire wasn't even in power. It was the Greeks. So for them, see, this is what we get in Isupk, the wisdom and the keen eyesight to understand what's going on, because we're trained to do so, man. We're not smarter than everybody else, but we're trained to be wiser. What does early Christian writings that's not included in the Hebrew Bible have to do with Christianity? Because Christianity is the book that took it out. They took out the Apocrypha, and according to my studies in the year 1888, it was removed because they knew that it had nothing to do with Christianity. But it's part of, whenever you order a King James 1611, just like this one, the Apocrypha is in its proper place. So what we've done tonight, anybody got any questions on it? What we've done today is we've shown that Christianity and Judaism is counterfeit. And they've used the language and the scriptures, you understand, knowingly to change them, change the interpretation, change the pronunciation. We just read it. Understand? As if they was doing something righteous, but they were not. The whole thing about counterfeit is to deceive, to sham you, to change reality, counterfeit reality, that the so-called small hats are the children of God, the chosen of God. It's counterfeit. That's all it is. Understand? And that's what we were able to prove here. Let me see, it was something else. Maybe it was one more thing. It says, brother, you still got it there?
Oh, okay.
Come on, read down to where it says testament in that same paragraph. Start where it says key books. You see key books there?
Start
from there. Read there.
Key books include Tobit, Judith 1, Salakia, Judith, 1st and 2nd Maccabees, Wisdom of Solomon, and Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus.
Right. Now, read on.
Which offer historical and theological context for the period between the testaments.
You understand? That Apocrypha is the connection between the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's why they took it out, because they're counterfeit. And Christianity has nothing to do with the Apocrypha. It has nothing to do with the Bible at all. They made it up. And the Hebrew language in itself, the pure language, is the testimony. Why did the Most High call it the pure language? Because with that, we can understand all things. Brother, if you could, you got your sword. I know you got your sword. Go to Proverbs 28 and 5. Bob Qaash. And when you get that, read that. And, you know, we're about to close it down. But I want the brothers to understand this. You understand? Because this gives us hope and understanding, right? Because these devils are not going to fool us. But they're going to make a hell of an effort. You got it? Read that.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 5. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things.
Ooh-wee. You see how heavy that is, brother? Soak that in, man. Meaning, if we get the information, we understand everything. That's what it says. The wicked, they don't understand because they're counterfeit. They're not seeking the Lord, but the people that's truly seeking the Lord, truly obeying him, they'll be able to understand everything. Read it again for me, brother. This is the word of God. Commander General Yohana, General Muhammad, also Yanazar at the bottom. None of us wrote none of this. This is the word of the Most High God. Read it again, brother.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 5. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things.
Understand. You understand? But to understand something, you got to know it first. You can't understand something you don't know. So we get the knowledge to understand. We get the wisdom from the Most High in the scriptures to understand everything. There's nothing that they can put in front of us, man, that one of these brothers or sisters is not going to understand it. We're going to understand everything. We understand the Epstein files. We understand democracy. We understand oppression. Understand? We understand the plight of our people. You understand? We understand everything on different levels. You understand? You have to be trained for this, man. It was a cat. I was watching Captain Tazariak and Captain Katazar, those two brothers whom I love and hold in high esteem, because those are the two brothers that I learned about the truth from, right? So they had this cat on there last night. You understand? And he knew scriptures very well. He could call out scriptures and quote them and all of that. But he leaned upon his own understanding. He leaned upon his, and he was way off because he's in his feelings. This is I'm going to go to Hebrew, brother, if you could. One more. This is the last one. Go to Hebrews 5 and 12. Baba Qaash. Hebrews 5 and 12. Let me get there with you, brother. Just let me know when you're there. Is it 5 and 12? Yeah. This is heavy, man. This is law. This brother's about to read law. Go ahead, brother. Read it.
The lock, you out of one. It's taking a little bit to load up.
Oh, okay, brother. Take your time. We might go over a minute or two. Don't worry about it. But this is something that every brother and sister should understand this, if you don't already. I know some of you already got this information. You understand it perfectly. But there's people out there that could be watching that might not understand. And when you come across these brothers that lean on their own understanding, you kill them with this right here. You got it, brother? Hebrews
No,
5 and
okay.
12. Oh, okay. You going on electronic. You got it? The water. Go ahead and read it, brother.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verse 12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God.
Read on.
And are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
Man, let me tell you something, brother. It says, Salakia, I done lost the page. Let me get back to it. Salakia. It says, for when you ought to be teachers, you must first be taught again. Right? Meaning the men of the Lord has to teach you before you can go out there and teach. Because nobody that taught these scriptures was not taught by the men of the Lord above them. Every last man in this Bible was taught by somebody above him, whether it was the Most High, an angel, or a man. They were taught the truth, right? And then it says, you must be taught again. This is heavy, which is the first principles of the oracles of God, meaning this is law. The oracles of God, the word of God is law. You can't go out there and rely on your own understanding. You have to be taught by the men of the Lord first. That's why all of these fake Israelite groups and all these individualites is going off with all these crazy doctrines, because they're leaning on their own understanding and they don't come into the true body, the Isupk and the command and general Yohana. That's the whole point. And it goes on to say, and are such as have need of milk, meaning when you're a baby, you drink milk first. You can't eat meat, you can't eat steak. You understand? You can't eat beef. You have to get milk first. You got to learn the basics. The more easier to understand according to your spirit scriptures. You understand? Before you can eat the meat, before you can get into the more heavier concepts and understanding of the scriptures, man. That's what I wanted to say. I'm going to read one more, and this is absolutely the last one. This is become one of my most useful scriptures. And this is in the book of Amos, right? Chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, and I'm going to end with this one. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. The priests and prophets of the Lord have the responsibility to teach this Bible. Nobody else is authorized. Nobody. If you're not in that one body, if you don't come under those true priests and prophets of the Lord, you're full of shit. It says, Salaki, thus saith the Lord. No, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. That's heavy, because he's saying that everything that he does, he tells on the earth pertaining to us, he tells the prophets before he does it. Now, is that a true statement or is that a lie? And if you think it's a lie, then find one thing that the Most High did that he didn't tell the prophets first. And I can tell you real quickly, like, if it's written in the book, the prophets had to know about it. All right, y'all. I don't think I see any questions. That's right. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody for joining in. Trooper Michael War, the water for your good works. Ain't hearing nothing but good things about you, brother. Just keep it up. Hold on just a second.
Most High in Christ.
All right. Hey, shalom, sir. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know, it's high time for us to wake up, man. First of all, man. It's time to wake up, man. We got to get our people. First thing we got to do, one of the first things we got to do is get our people to stop hating each other and loving the oppressor, man. There's too much of that going on. And with that, I'm going to say shalom, and we're going to shut it down, and we'll do it again in 2 weeks. Next week, we'll have the youth-orientated class or the children's class at this same time. This class on Friday is officially from 5:30 to 6:45. That's the time we're allotted this class. And I really, you understand, feel it's important that we get these young people involved with this. You understand? So that they can put on the full armor of the Lord. And with that, I say shalom.
Shalom,
Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatam, Yahweh Shema Alatan Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai to all my sisters.